Heritage Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host this evening, Logan Landers. And join me on this wonderful Wednesday to talk some college football, more specifically the 2021 USC Trojans team preview, is my co-host in crime, my man, Jay McLovin. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good to meet you.
Hey, I'm happy, Jay. I'm ready to talk some football with you. This USC team is looking nice. But before we get started, though, if you guys enjoy the video here tonight, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It means the world to us whenever we see you sharing it into the Facebook groups. Also, go check out our podcast. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you listen to podcasts, honestly. We are there, and we upload every single day, so you can always get some good football content any day, anytime you want it. There's always something for you over there. So, Jay, let's get right into this one, my man. I'm asking you this one first off. What do you like about this USC Trojans team coming into 2021?
Yeah, I like the fact that they have a lot of people coming back. I like the fact that they have 4 starters on the offensive line coming back, which is always good news. Anytime you keep your offensive line together, I feel like that's going to set you up for success for the rest of it. So I like the fact. I think the offensive line for me is probably the biggest thing that I see going for this team. Yeah, I think the offensive line, Logan, honestly. I think they got that new offensive coordinator, Graham Harrell, and he knows how to get an offense going. So I think between their the new offensive coordinator and the fact they keep their offensive line intact, and the fact that Kyle Slovis is coming back for another massive year at quarterback or at defensive end, should be pretty well. But that offensive line definitely looks pretty jacked.
Yeah, that O-line, man. I think that this is a solid team, and they had a pretty good season. I think they can definitely improve on it, but for me, it always starts with the quarterback in my eyes. It always is, how is your quarterback going to perform coming into each and every year? Because, it changes every year, man. We've seen guys, especially in college, have tremendous years when they drop off. But, man, with Keaton Slovis, he had a great 2019 season, a full season at that point, threw for over 3,000 yards, had a bunch of touchdowns. And then last year, he did pretty solid as well, of course, from the COVID-shortened season with everything, playing just conference opponents as well. He did solid. He threw for almost 2,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, which is a little bit much. But overall, I think that Slovis is an accurate quarterback. He completes over 65% of his passes in his 2 seasons at USC. And I think it's pretty easy to say, but I really think he is the key for this team. And if he produces the way he did in 2019, the way he did last year, 2020, there's no doubt in my mind that USC is going to be a threat this year. So do you have any key players you like to look out for? I know we mentioned Slovis, but do you have anyone else that you got your eye on who might help out this Trojans team this year?
Yeah, outside of Slovis, I'm looking at, possibly their secondary. I think the secondary is pretty good. The defensive line needs a lot of work, but on that defensive side, Palomalo is at 6'4". Palomalo is looking pretty good at the safety spot. He had a 40 tackle season. They have a lot of all Pac-12 talent and Chris Steele and Isaac Taylor. So I think that secondary, in my opinion, is probably one of the biggest things coming back for them. Like I said, though, I think Palomalo is probably one of the biggest guys that I see in the defense that should make the biggest impact. And let's be honest with you, last year that defense was not exactly all that great. It wasn't all that great. They gave up a lot of balls, or I should say they allowed 370 yards at 26 points a game. So they gave up quite a bit, and it just wasn't all that stout. So I'm hoping that with the addition of Palomalo and these corners in their secondary, that will hopefully improve upon that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. And another key for me, just to go back to the offense, is, like you said, the O-line, we mentioned it briefly, but they got to help out Slovis, man. They really do.
Yeah.
USC, they allowed 2.5 sacks a game last year. That's a lot. It don't matter what division you're in. Doesn't matter if you're in college. It doesn't matter if you're in the NFL. You got to keep your quarterback upright, man. And, at times for a team that went 5-1, they lost the only game, of course, with the championship. But they can – I definitely think they can improve this year and be better as long as the offense steps up. They lost a few guys for they transferred out, they got drafted, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that they have some guys that are coming in who can really help out. So like I said, as long as you get guys who are willing to work, who are willing to put in the time and just, do a bunch of film study and help out the team that they can do that, I think that they're going to be in for a good year. And I think someone who's going to help out is Drake London. I think he's going to help out at the wide receiving core. I think he's going to help be a really good target for Keith Slovis, and I think he's really going to help him out. Then as for the defense, like you said, Drake Jackson is a good player, I think. 6'4", almost 230. He's solid, though. So I think that, he's looking really good. And I think that this USC team, like you said, they do have some holes. They're not a perfect team, but they are definitely a solid program. And I think they can really kind of ruffle some feathers, I think. So for the schedule they have, I was looking it over. And I mean, like I said, they're in the Pac-12, so they're going to face a pretty good heaping of some opponents. Do you have it pulled up? And do you think you have any guys, any teams who you think that might be a challenge for them?
So the key games I put down on here was, let's be honest, for the most part, they have a fairly easy schedule. It really isn't too demanding. But the three big games I see for them is Notre Dame, BYU, and San Jose State. The key game for them will be Arizona State. I think that's going to be the biggest one. They barely beat them last year at 28-27 on an onside kick. So I see that one being a big game. And I think after the Pac-12 regular season finale against UCLA and before the Pac-12 championship game, that's where I see the biggest one for them. They got three non-conference games, like I said, in the Notre Dame, BYU, and San Jose. So look for those to be, I think, in my opinion, the biggest games for them. I see them kind of going 9-4 this year. I don't think they make the playoffs at all. I don't think they make the playoffs, but I do think they'll have a good season. And I think 9-4 is realistic.
Yeah, that's not a bad assessment. I'm with you on that. I can see 9-4, 8-5. Like I said, to me, they just have a few too many weaknesses, but they could always come out and surprise us. You never know. Like we said, that defense, it's a little bit shaky at times. But for me, I think something they didn't even have last year that they struggled on a lot, and they're good. I think they're still going to struggle this year, is they don't have a running game at all. They really don't.
No. Their
running game, they averaged about 3 yards a carry last year. Yeah. And I mean, just looking at the stats from last year, there's nothing impressive. So you're basically looking like a one-dimensional team just with passing the ball. And, unless you're a Patrick Mahomes or some wizard, something like that, who can just throw the ball at will, you're going to struggle. And with a defense who has its weaknesses, no doubt, I think that, once USC, I think they're going to be fine starting out. But I feel that once some teams start getting some footage on them, looking at the film more, I think they're finally going to, find their weaknesses and start picking them apart. Yeah. Because unless some guys start stepping up, Jay, I definitely could see that. I could see, like you said, a 9-4, 8-5, some type of record. And they might not be in that Pac-12 championship game this year. They did solid last year, but like I said, you lost some guys, and you need some guys to step up now. Like I said, that's always a big question mark. So is your defense going to be good? Is your offense going to step up? Are you going to be a one-dimensional team? I'm curious to see what this team's going to do.
Right, because I tell you, the problem isn't on that defensive line isn't on the edge. The Nick Figueroa, he's their leading sack leader. Like you said, you got Drake Jackson back as well. So the defensive end, their edge rushing, I don't see as being the problem. What I see the problem is on the interior defenders, like where the defensive tackles are, and they're bringing back, they're bringing back Alabama transfer Ishmael Saucer. I think he'll help them out with but I think defensive tackles or the interior defense, especially with the run game, or being able to stop the run game. I think that's kind of where I see the biggest weakness on that line is at the defensive tackle spot. But yeah, I agree with what you said earlier about the running backs. They're definitely going to have to use the running backs more because their offense really just isn't all that explosive, like we talked about. And they have a fairly decent wide receiver core coming back, but like you said, without a run game, you do turn one-dimensional, and you can't rely on your defense to keep you in the game. So you're going to have to do something offensively to win these games. And so, yeah, like I said, 8-5, 9-4. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I see them at.
Yeah, and I was looking up stats, before we came on the show here, and something I found interesting is for last season with their red zone defense, it was atrocious. It really was. So They had 16 red zone trips in total, 15 scores allowed, but 11 of those were touchdowns.
Right.
So you've got to step up that defense. Like we said, I think the offense is going to be fine because they got a great quarterback who's proven that he can do it. They're getting some good transfers in at wide receiver. They got to step up the running game. And I think that the pass blocking, that's going to help them out a little bit, I hope, for Keaton Slovis's back and legs and everything. So if they can improve on the defense, if they can keep Slovis standing up, I think USC is going to have a decent season. I don't think they're going to get in the college football playoff or anything. But I wouldn't be surprised if they get back to the Pac-12 championship because they have a solid team. It's just, this is a team preview, not middle of the season while we're talking. So this is all just speculation. But I think that USC is going to have a good season. And they're definitely going to have a winning season. There's no doubt about that. But just how many are you going to be able to rattle off? How many games above 500? And can you get to that Pac-12 championship? That's the big key. So, Jay, what's your final thoughts on this team?
Yeah, like I said, I think the final thoughts is I think they're still kind of a young team. I think they're still kind of building these components. I really think that they're probably maybe one or two really good draft classes away from trying to, from being able to sneak into the playoffs. They're definitely, I think within the next 1 or 2 years, maybe even 3 years, they're going to have to really get some solid draft classes if they want to get back to the playoffs. Right now, where they're drafting, and right now with the talent level that they're bringing in, 9-4 is probably the best you're going to see from them for at least another year or two until they can get some better draft classes or some better transfer classes coming in. And so, yeah, I think we're looking at a middle of the row, little over 500 football team.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a good season. I think they're going to be obviously ranked in the top 25 at the end of the day. Like I said, I could see them compete for the Pac-12 championship at the end of the day, maybe. We'll just have to see how these guys produce this year, if they improve or if they stay consistent. Because last year, like I said, they got to the championship game, but they only played 6 games. They didn't play a full season. They had a good stretch. And like I said, a few of the guys from that team went on to the NFL or they transferred to a different school. So we'll have to see how they're going to do. But I think overall, USC fans, it's going to be a solid season. Don't worry about that. You don't have to cry yourself to sleep or anything at night, worrying about your team not having a winning record. It's going to be good. I think USC is going to have a good team, and we'll have to see how they do with the full season of college football coming up. I'm ready for that. Seems like it's been forever since we said that, Jay, but, man, it's going to be a good season, though, all in all. But, hey, all right, if you guys have enjoyed this video here tonight, first off, thank you so much for watching. It means the world to us. Whether you're watching us live on Facebook or YouTube or even on Twitter, we are live where we broadcast every single show, and we appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching. Also, if you haven't already, please go over and check out our podcast. Just type in 100 Yards of Football. Whether you're on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, iHeart, anywhere you listen to a podcast, there's a good chance we're over there and we're doing our stuff every single day. We upload daily shows, 15 to maybe 45 minutes, just depending on what the topic is. We have a lot of great content. Please go check us out. There's our logo over there for Apple Podcasts. So go check us out, leave us a review, and let us know what you like and what you want to hear on the show, and we will bring it to you. But, man, it is team preview season, Jay. Thank you so much for coming on, talking some USC Trojans with me tonight, my friend. I've been your host and producer this evening, Logan Landers. And we'll talk to you guys in just a second with another great team preview. So stay tuned.